Welcome to your best kept secret to success. I'm Prema, and this is where resonance replaces readiness, and your frequency leads the way. Take a breath with me as we open the space together. There's a difference between intuition and impulse, between clear resonance and emotional reactivity. And that difference, however subtle, is everything. In a world where spiritual language is often used to bypass grounded truth or reinforce preference, the ability to discern, not just feel, is essential. This episode isn't about calling anything out. It's about calling you in to your own vertical channel, to the part of you that knows when something is true because it can stand inside your structure, not because it matches your mood. I've walked through many versions of this lesson in my own life, and I share from that place, not as a teaching, but as a mirror. Let's explore together what it means to walk with spiritual discernment and how to know when distortion might be masquerading as guidance. If you've never taken the Sacred Wealth Archetype quiz, it's a beautiful place to start. You'll discover one of your unique Sacred Wealth Code archetypes, which holds the key to aligned prosperity. You'll find the link in the show notes. We'll have a quick planetary update for Vedic Astrology before we dive into our main topic for today. If you're tuning into this after this transit has passed, everything that I'm sharing today is relevant throughout time. Currently, there's a purification happening in the collective field. One that doesn't shout, but quietly dismantles what was built in distortion. Can you feel it? We have a lunar eclipse on September 7th in Aquarius in Vedic Astrology. The moon, full moon, which is the queen in the Sacred Wealth Archetype system, will be illuminating a nakshatra known for its spiritual fire walking. This is the realm of Purva Bhadrapada, a star of paradox, revelation, and soul-level refinement. And this is also where the magician, Rahu, the north node of the moon, is and will be since the end of May of 2025 for the next 18 months or so into 2026. This is the axis of change where the eclipses are. This shifts our path, asks us to shed away layers that no longer serve, or maybe never have. So when the moon and Rahu come together here, something deep in the psyche is asked to release illusions of purpose that were actually rooted in performance. Aquarius is a very social sign, the sign of the people, not the sign of the one, Leo. It's opposite from there. It all has its place within us. And during this time, you may find yourself questioning, what parts of my service are still tethered to being seen? Where have I confused contribution with currency? And what am I offering that no longer aligns with my true vow? Notice what stirs in you. Opposite this moon, in the sign of Leo, we have the sun, which is the king in the Sacred Wealth Code archetype system, with the mystic, the south node of the moon, K2, and also with Mercury, the great merchant, messenger, and communicator. A royal configuration in another nakshatra called Purva Falguni. That's the star of ripening, but only what's truly yours can ripen now. So if things are dissolving, roles, offers, relationships, ways of expressing your gifts, it's not failure. It's truth reclaiming the seat. This astrology doesn't bring clarity through comfort. It brings clarity through burning through stripping, through confronting the difference between what fulfills you and what just fed your old identity. The nodes of the moon shift our identity. So let this be a moment of return. Return to what's real. Return to what's yours. And return to the deeper integrity that doesn't need to perform, explain, or convince. And herein lies the gift. Your path will change. Let it. And truth will settle it. This is the first of 2 eclipses we'll have in September. If you're feeling the heat of this time, not just astrologically, but the deeper layers of your life, you're not alone. This is the kind of moment the healing circle was made for. Every month, we gather in real time, on your own time with the replay or together with the field, to drop in and release distortions and restore coherence. These are not coaching calls or lessons. They are sacred transmissions. The full moon sacred healing circle. They're attunements and clearings. And if you're ready to be held inside the space of integrity and spiritual refinement, the link is with the show notes. You can join the subscription for the circle or become part of the ongoing temple field of sacred wealth mastery. The healing circle is one of the pillars. You'll know if you're meant for either. And if this eclipse season has stirred deeper questions about your direction, your path of service, or what you're here to steward, this is a powerful moment to look at your personal soul blueprint. I offer Sacred Wealth Code and Soul Blueprint Vedic Astrology reading sessions that help you decode your soul's design. They are not predictive. They are revelatory. Whether you need clarity on your sacred wealth archetypes, your Dharma path, or soul timing, the answer is already within your chart, and we'll read them together. Okay, welcome back to the temple of this conversation. Let's enter this one together slowly. Today we're tuning into a deep and quiet power. One that doesn't scream for attention or rush confirmation. We're talking about spiritual discernment versus spiritual distortion. Not as a concept, but as a lived knowing. This is one of the most important inner capacities we can cultivate right now, especially in a world that's overflowing with signals, tools, teachings, and truths. So many people are broadcasting frequency, but very few are actually living in coherence. Here's how to return to what's real. Discernment does not need explanation. You know when you know. When it's real, there's a quiet, full-bodied yes. It doesn't scream. It doesn't require permission. It lands. But when something is off, even subtly off, you'll often find yourself spinning, explaining, rewriting, asking for signs, and stalling with logic. That's not intuition. That's distortion. Distortion loops. One of my clients came to me with an offer she had received in a meditation. It was a clear download, resonant, right on time. She knew what it was. She could feel it. But instead of letting that clarity lead, she rewrote it 6 times. Each time she said, well, maybe this version will make it clearer for others. But the truth was, she wasn't doubting the offer. She was doubting herself. She had left the field of discernment and entered the fog of distortion. So we paused. I brought her back into her body, into her heart, into her soul. We went straight into her sacred wealth code. The leader and the strategist were both present. Part of her sacred wealth code. It's usually 3 to 5 archetypes in a sacred wealth code, depending on your chart. We tuned to it. We dropped in. And in that dropped in state, I asked her, is this offering coming through your highest self? And do you really believe it needs to be proven to others? There was a deep silence, and then tears. And she whispered, no, I just don't think that I am enough to carry it. And in that moment, everything changed. We brought her back into resonance, not with the strategy of how to offer it, but the frequency it first arrived in. She released the need to perform. She launched the original version of her offer, and the people aligned with it came right in. So where are you looping when you could be leading? Where are you looping where you could be leading? Discernment moves. Distortion loops. When you come back to your inner coherence, life meets you there every time. It's not that we're going to always stay in coherence, but let's keep the paths well worn back to it. Distortion often mimics urgency or spiritual language. This one can be really subtle, and it's happening everywhere in the spiritual field. Distortion doesn't always feel wrong. Sometimes it wears the costume of clarity. It's not aligned yet, we think. We say. But what's really happening is, I'm afraid. I'm trying to be perfect. I'm afraid I'll get it wrong. One of the trickiest things about spiritual distortion is how easily it dresses itself up in the language of alignment. A sacred wealth architect I was working with had built a very successful career in the corporate world. And she was being called, like deeply called, to shift into the work that felt more aligned with her soul. She knew what the next step was. She could feel the nudge to begin to share her story, mentor others. But every time she started to move forward, she'd say things like, "I'm not aligned yet. I'm still getting clarity. The timing doesn't feel quite right." On the surface, these sounded like conscious, empowered pauses. But the energy underneath was different. It wasn't discernment. It was fear. So when we got quiet and dropped in, what came forward was, "I'm afraid that if I actually start, I'll be seen as an imposter. I don't know if I'm spiritual enough or ready enough to do this." And that's when it became clear. The distortion was using spiritual language to delay action, to stay safe in the known. So we worked through a shadow of her sacred wealth code and reattuned to the frequency of her sage. Where's my sage? Sage, it's one of Jupiter's archetypes. And she realized she didn't need more clarity. She needed more trust. She started small. One post, one offering, one client. Within 3 months, she had fully stepped into her new work, still honoring her structured background. She had an organizer in her chart as well, Saturn, but no longer hiding behind it. Discernment creates movement. Distortion creates delay. And sometimes the words we use to sound aligned are actually the very things that are keeping us from our next becoming. That's the difference. Discernment is clear, and distortion uses language of delay. You're not meant to perform alignment, you're meant to live in it. So watch for these spiritual phrases that may be masking fear. I'm just waiting for the right moment. I don't feel fully in integrity yet. I want it to be completely clear before I say yes. Discernment is integrity. Distortion often mimics it, but it leaves you in a pause, doubt, or delay. Don't confuse hesitation with holiness. Discernment feels like stillness. Distortion feels like fragmentation. Let's bring this one into the body, because this is where truth lives. Take a deep breath. When you're in discernment, your whole system begins to settle. Your heart opens, your breath deepens. Even the decision ahead, even if it's bold or unfamiliar, you feel a grounded attunement underneath it. Truth does not always feel comfortable, but it does feel coherent. When distortion is present, the opposite happens. You second guess, contract, push, justify, or try to talk yourself into it. The body tightens or overactivates, sometimes even mimicking what seems like excitement or divine energy. But it's adrenaline. Spiritualized urgency masking fragmentation. A few years ago, I was invited to co-create a program with someone I respected deeply. The offer was beautiful on paper, expansive, aligned with my field, even lucrative. She was the perfect visionary, and the structure had the markings of the organizer. And the connector in me wanted it to work. One of my sacred wealth archetypes, one of my most powerful ones, the connector. This was someone I loved, I respected. The relationship mattered to me. The vision felt like something we could steward together, and I didn't want to disrupt the harmony. But every time I tuned in, my body told me a different story. My chest contracted. I went into overthinking. No matter how much I meditated on it, it just never felt clean. And still, I almost said yes, because it looked so good from the outside. But when I dropped into my inner current, into the stillness of discernment, I saw it clearly. It wasn't aligned for me. The connector in me had to evolve in that moment, not into separation, but into coherent connection with my truth, even if that meant disappointing someone else or leaving money on the table. I didn't need to burn a bridge or prove anything. I just needed to listen to the signal and trust that the signal was enough. And that one decision reorganized a season of my life. It cleared the static. It freed the path for a whole new wave of true collaborations to come in. Ones where my system said yes, with no confusion. Truth settles you, and distortion fractures you. When you are discerning, the whole of you is speaking as one. When you are in distortion, the fragments speak louder, and they speak in fear. So where do you feel fragmentation that you've been calling expansion? Is there an offer, a path, or a collaboration that activates your nervous system instead of anchoring you in your soul? Stillness will show you the truth. This isn't about being perfect. This is about learning to live in resonance instead of swimming in noise. It's about letting go of performative alignment and remembering the truth that was always clear inside you. Spiritual discernment is not an achievement, it's a return to yourself, to coherence, and to the heart of what you already know. If this field of reverence speaks to you, something deep inside of you, you may already be part of the sacred wealth mastery field. It's not a program, it's a remembrance. And you'll know if you're meant to enter. The invitation is open. We're going to do a Sacred Wealth Code Oracle card reading from my Sacred Wealth Code Oracle deck. The deck, the book, and the journal are all available on my website and on Amazon. Links are below. And then we will do an integration practice because embodiment is key, living from your soul to the soles of your feet. So today, the oracle cards that came in are the Muse and the Messenger. The Muse reminds you to not only pay attention to what your intuition says, but also to pay attention to how it feels, how it lands in your body. We can hear and sense many things, but when we run it through the filter of our body, it's a very practical filter for distortion, for discernment, and it won't lie to you. So yes, be absolutely open to the guidance you hear, you sense, you receive. But pay attention to how it lands and where it lands. And the Messenger says to speak what's true, even if it shakes you. When you speak what's true, even if it's challenging for others to hear, it will clear the air. It'll settle the room. And truth is good for everyone, whether they know it in the moment or not. So together, the Messenger and the Muse invite us to discern what is actually true and to speak from that truth without over-explaining, watering it down, truth will land in its own timing. Let's integrate. Let's bring this down into embodiment. Take a couple of deep, full breaths. Close your eyes if you can. If you have a hand free, put it on your heart, on your belly. And come back home to yourself. Take a couple of deep, full breaths. Allow your attention to drop in. Feel your body, even your humanness. Let this drop into your heart. I trust what I know in stillness. I've got 3 reflection questions for you, and trust whatever comes up for you. Where am I still explaining myself? What's true even when I don't defend it? And where is the signal clean? And where am I trying to clean the signal? Trust what comes in for you. Make a note of it. Awareness precedes change. Allow the awareness to drop in. And trust you'll know what to do with it. If you're longing to live inside a field that holds you in daily remembrance of your soul's design, Sacred Wealth Mastery is that living temple. It's not a program. It's a resonance. And if you feel the gate is open for you, you'll know. Again, if you'd like personal guidance to align with your true nature, a Sacred Wealth Code reading or soul blueprint reading is a powerful way to see your unique gifts and the timing written in your chart. And if you're simply ready to receive support and reset in a sacred way monthly, the Healing Circle is always here as part of this work. It's a beautiful place to restore coherence and realign with your own inner architecture. The links are below in the show description. And as always, I invite you to subscribe, to follow, and to share this with someone who might need it today. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. Your words help this message reach others. And if you're on Spotify, simply like this episode or leave me a comment. And on YouTube, absolutely, please like this, share this, and leave me a comment. I'm grateful for you being here. And remember, your soul already carries the blueprint of your wealth, your purpose. And when you live in alignment with that truth, the right people, opportunities, and resources arrive without force, in perfect timing and in perfect sequence. Much love to you.